He said his air was...
He fixed the air. We should focus on that. There's nothing odd about having a repairman come to work on the ventilation system. But, at the very least, Denis was still alive when the electrician came. We need to learn about the deceased's condition at that time.
Right. The customer? Well...
It wouldn't be surprising if the deceased committed suicide. Sounds like an important detail. Does that mean the deceased had a motive for killing himself?
Right. The well, around 3 p.m.
Yes, these pieces of information do go together. On the day of the incident, the electrician had been asked to repair the deceased's air. The electrician went to the deceased's room at noon and left after finishing his work. Both the deceased's neighbor and the electrician himself agree on this. Indeed, both of these facts relate to the deceased. The last time the deceased was seen alive was... That's right. At that time, he seemed... Yes, this comes from the electrician's testimony. The last time we believe the deceased could have been alive is... Indeed. The neighbor reports hearing a sound from the room at that time. Within an hour after that, a fire started in his room. The deceased was later discovered dead. That's all we know at this point. Hey, little guy. I want to go through the information that we've gathered so far.
All right, let's piece it all together step by step.
Let's do that.
The deceased, Denis Taylor, was found dead in his apartment. Let's see. His body was discovered because...
Yes, but by the time firefighters arrived on the scene, the fire had already gone out. His corpse was found on the bed.
That's right. The FBI and police initially ruled this case as a suicide. The reason for that was... That's correct. The other reason was...
That was careless. Indeed, the slashed wrist and the chained door point towards suicide. It would seem he was so desperate for death that he would both slit his wrist and set his room on fire. That isn't a surprising conclusion.
The knife blade does match the shape of the wound in the wrist. The blood on the blade matches his DNA. Lastly, the deceased's fingerprints were found on the handle of the knife.
Those are all true, but there was something odd about that wound on his wrist. First, another point is, his finger was fractured. Would he have been able to use a knife with a wounded hand?
It's very unlikely, but that's not the only thing that raises doubt. If he did die of the knife wound, he would have bled to death. However, investigating the corpse points to a different cause of death. That is...
That's right, the petechia on the eyes, and the strange bruise on his abdomen. There's more than enough evidence to doubt that this was a suicide.
But according to the electrician's statement, the victim seemed like he might be in a state to commit suicide.
Indeed, there are too many uncertainties to be able to draw a conclusion at this point. I'm going to have to investigate the scene for myself. Little guy, get me approval to enter the area.
Oh, understood. You shouldn't have a problem, Dr. Kimishima. I'm sure my bosses will approve you right away.
Yes, but I don't intend to waste any time. I'm going there right now. You deal with the rest on your end. Now that I look closely, the burns are most severe right here. What was... If I send this for analysis, I might find out what was on fire on the table. It's the ceiling fan. There's a speed selector and a timer. One of the blades seems to be broken, though. The electrician had supposedly come to fix the air. I need to review his testimony to confirm what he actually fixed. This is where the deceased's corpse was. If this bloodstain is his blood, then... Yes, the injury was on his left wrist. From the position of the bloodstain, it would appear he was lying face up on the bed. There was only the one bloodstain, so he didn't move around much after his wrist was slit. If this truly is a suicide, that would mean that he bled to death here. However, the amount of hemorrhaging here seems to be too small for a man to completely bleed out. Who's this in the picture? The deceased's friend? I see. I was so caught up in the case that I didn't check the man's background. Hello, little guy. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I hear you. Did you need something, Dr. Kimishima?
Yes. Can you do me a favor and look into the deceased's friends? I'm going to send you a picture right now. Try getting a hold on whoever that is.
All right. Is there anything in particular you'd like us to find out?
Let's see. First, about the deceased himself. It'd be great to find out more about the day of the incident.
All right. I'll make preparations to have them question. I'll send you the recordings of their answers, so please check the recorder.
Good. I'm glad you can get on this so quickly. I'll be counting on you.
What you want, man? Why are you calling me out here? Huh? You want to talk about Denis? You're better off asking his girlfriend. Yeah, she can probably tell you more about Denis than I can. That guy, huh? No, nothing. He's a friend of mine, you know? I don't hate him. I mean, we'd been drinking together the night before he died, after all. He called me up out of the blue and said he'd pick up the tab that night. That wasn't really important. It was just how he normally brags. He was all proud of this red Portland Jacks t-shirt he was wearing, too.
A Portland Jacks t-shirt. If he was telling the truth, the victim was wearing that shirt on the day of the incident. In any case, after hearing this testimony, it seems hard to believe that the deceased would have committed suicide. That reminds me, the man said in his interview that the deceased had a girlfriend. I wonder if HQ knows who she is. This is worth asking little guy about.
Yes, did you call Dr. Kimishima?
I need you to look into somebody for me. A woman named Stella Abbott.
Oh, the deceased's girlfriend? Well, technically his ex...
That doesn't matter. Can you find her?
We already have. HQ's just finished questioning her. Oh, should I send you the recording?
Please. Now, if you don't mind. I feel like I'm getting closer to understanding who Denis Taylor really is. reminds me. Someone mentioned the clothing that the deceased was wearing on the day of the incident. That's odd. There's nothing that stands out about the clothing. Somebody said something about what the deceased had been wearing that day.
This is a blood stain. One moment, please. I did some quick calculations. A stain of that size would take about 800 milliliters of blood.
The average adult male would have to lose at least 1,500 milliliters in order to bleed to death. This means that... That was careless. Well, the amount of blood loss required varies from person to person, so this isn't quite proof. It is unusual, though. I'll have to remember it. Something about this shirt is bothering me. That's right. The deceased was apparently wearing a red t-shirt on the day of the incident. Did he change after he got home? Or was there some reason for changing his shirt? This does raise some doubts. The electrician supposedly came to the victim's room to fix his air. But he didn't repair the ceiling fan? Or did the fan break after the electrician had left? In any case, I'll need to hear his account again.
Dr. Kimishima, did you receive the voice data?
From the deceased's girlfriend? Have you sent it?
You should be able to listen to it using the recorder. Please listen to it when you can.
Right. First, I want to know about the deceased's source of income.
It did seem fairly well off for somebody without a steady job.
Indeed. I'll be listening for that while I'm going over the recording.
Yes? Oh. Yeah, it was really quick. Yes. That was... right. A customer? He said his air was broke. He said... that was around noon, I think? I got the call earlier that day. Yes. He said he needed it fixed. Yes. Yeah, it was really quick. All I had to do was swap out a cable. Right. I think I was only there for about an hour. Yes, I fixed his heater.
He fixed the heater. Something about that seems odd. Yes, the deceased's neighbor mentioned that. Summer is already starting. And yet, on the day of the incident, the deceased wanted to have his heater repaired? There's something strange about this after all.
Seriously? What do you guys want? I've got work to do, so let's get this over with. Huh? Dennis? You mean Denis Taylor? Wow, that name brings back bad memories. We broke up years ago. Yeah, at first I thought he was an interesting guy, pretty cool and all. But he never had a job, and he just kind of wandered through life. But he never had a... Oh, but he always had money. Oh, but he always had money. I'm sure he didn't come by it honestly. Ugh, are you really this slow? Don't you get it? Drugs. He was a drug dealer.
Good heavens. The deceased's been holding on to quite a secret. I'm going to have to change the way I approach this case. Let's go through the information we have, now that we know the deceased's true identity. Unbelievable. The deceased had this hidden dark side to him.
This is looking more and more like a case worth investigating. If Denis Taylor was a drug dealer, then there could be a variety of reasons to kill him.
Still, I can't let my prejudices cloud the truth. I need to remain objective. However, it seems that we're going to have to change our views regarding this case.
Right. I'll prepare the CSI's ALS.
ALS, the advanced light source that can adjust the wavelength being emitted?
That's right. An object's visibility depends on the light being reflected from that object. The ALS lets you select a particular wavelength to focus only on what you want to see.
Or hide what you don't want to see.
Oh, no.
I'll try using it. Thanks, little guy. There's white powder scattered on the floor. It looks like there are footprints in it. can guess at what this powder is, but I should send it in for analysis just in case. This powder on the floor seems to trail behind the shelf. Bingo. There's more of that powder inside this hole in the wall. What an obvious place for a hiding spot. Mr. Taylor wasn't all that clever.
Dr. Kimishima, about that white powder that was spread on the floor, there were traces of drugs found within it. A number of different sets of footprints were identified in that powder as well. They all belonged to the firefighters, police, and you, of course.
I see. That means... That was careless. Exactly. That would be the case. The room belonged to the deceased. If the drugs had been spread on the floor before the incident, his footprints should be there as well. But the only footprints in the room were from people who had entered after the fire. This would mean that the drugs would have to have been spread before or soon after the fire began.